Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us at In the Know. We're catching up with some of your favorite celebs, reality TV stars, and more direct from their homes. I'm your host, Gibson Johns, and today we're joined by Kristen Doute from Bravo's Vanderpump Rules. Kristen and I chatted about the current season of the show, where she stands with Stassi and Katie after a rough season for their friendship, and what she thinks about the mixture of old and new cast members this season. We also talked about where we think Pump Rules can go from here, and what fans can expect from her new book, He's Making You Crazy, which comes out on June 2nd. Keep listening for my full interview with Kristen. Hi, Kristen Doute. How are you?
I'm so well. Hanging in there,
Yeah, I think that's all what we're all trying to do. How have you been holding up during quarantine?
Good. I'm just trying to stay busy, I think, like everyone else, and work as much as I can from home and enjoy time at home.
I know,
Work.
same.
I have my good days and bad days.
For sure. Well, I do know that you have somebody with my namesake at your house that is keeping you company, Gibson, your dog.
Yes.
Is that has he been keeping you company? Is that kind of giving you some solace right now?
His ears just went up. He was like, "Did you say my name?" Yes, having both of my dogs is like, oh my God, I think they're getting sick of me for one. I'm like, play with me, hang out with me. They're like, dude, leave us alone.
Yeah. Well, I also saw your open house video, which was a tour of your home that you did pretty recently and went up on YouTube. It had a lot of views, by the way. And I love your little house in the valley, and it's so cute and it's so you.
It is.
Was it fun to kind of show that off after you putting your space together?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's another thing that's kind of, I guess, a positive about quarantine is like having more time at home to keep on tinkering is like what I like to call it, just like tinkering around and like now I'm like, okay, I'll do the guest room now and now I'll do this room and I'll like reorganize my vanity. But yeah, doing open house was so much fun.
Hmm.
Actually like show off like all the hard work that we've done.
Yeah, because I mean, we get glimpses of your guys' spaces on Vanderpump Rules, but to have a full-fledged tour is fun to see. Kind of, it's almost like a behind the scenes in a weird way because we kind of have to guess what everything looks like on the
Yeah.
show.
And my house really hasn't been on the show that much yet. I'm like, hello.
Right,
But granted, I moved in a lot later than everyone else.
right. So let's get in a little bit into the season. I mean, we're towards the end now, and it's been a doozy, I think, for you among other people. But what has it been like for you to watch this back this year? And what is because I feel like each year you probably have a different experience watching the show. What has this been like?
This season's not so much fun. It's like in a
Mhm.
different way that like season 2 wasn't fun.
But very different,
In a
very
very
different.
different way, but
Yeah.
it isn't no, it's really not fun because I didn't have a great summer. I had a hard summer, and so watching it back and I'm like, "Oh god, there I am crying again and being upset again," and I'm glad that's all over and done with and I'm not in that space anymore, but it is really interesting to watch scenes that I'm not in, that I heard a lot about, and to actually get to see what was truly said, which where was the attitude placed in positive or negative spectrum, and to listen to it with my own 2 ears is very interesting.
Well, that gets into my next question, which is, I ask everyone this when we're mid-season is what is an example of something that you heard for the first time or found out about for the first time while watching?
Um, I think in the beginning of the season, something that was really frustrating for me was like I think it was maybe in the first couple of episodes was like Stassi talking to Lisa, and Lisa was asking essentially like what was going on with us or where were we at with it, and Stassi was like her stand on it was that I was just a liar, and hadn't heard that one yet about this whole Carter and I breakup and my friendship breakup. So that was really frustrating. And I think this whole season I'm watching every episode with the viewers trying to have some like come to some peace moment with what happened with the girls and I still am not totally sure.
Right. So we're not at peace yet because it's not there isn't really an there isn't really an answer, a full-fledged answer.
Right. I feel like the answers changed as like 3 or 4 episodes go by. First it was like Kristen and Carter, it's very toxic, and she says they're broken up and they're clearly not, and we don't want to be around it because it's really hard for us. Okay, that I can understand, right? But then all of a sudden it has nothing to do with Carter. So what does it have to do with?
Mhm.
Hopefully we'll find out.
Right, I mean, as a viewer, just as somebody watching the show, it does feel like there's a piece of the puzzle missing. It
Right.
feels like there's
I agree with you
something.
guys. Well, yeah, wholeheartedly, I agree with you, but I
So
don't
it's
know
it's
if
it's not something that, like, just isn't addressed on the show, it's like you fully just, like, aren't aware of something that's happened maybe?
I hope that whenever we get to do this reunion that Andy Cohen, kinda drives that one home and just says, "Okay, well, what is it? Let's just give us all what we need right now."
Right. So where do you and Katie and Stassi stand right now? Is there any communication? Where's the friendship right now?
No, it pretty much has gone right back to what you're seeing on the show, and I'd say from the time the summer ended, we definitely had, like, a huge break of, like, not really communicating at all because we finally didn't really have to talk about it and be around each other. I think we all like to take sort of a minute once we're done filming to ourselves,
Makes sense.
but then I would say, between September and, like, where and now, there have been moments, anytime I hear something positive going on in one of their lives, whether or not they're gonna respond isn't the point, but I always send a text out like, "Stassi, congratulations on your podcast tour," things about her book doing really well or what have you, buying the house with Beau, and it's just, "I'm still thinking of you, and I'm still proud of you," and blah, blah, blah. And, Katie and I communicate slightly about the wine, or we did, and I think once the show started airing and we were all now getting to watch how we're talking about each other and what our experiences were, like, it's very easy to be selfish and feel only your own feelings, and I think that it's just made it so much worse than it was. So we're right back to square one.
And I think it's been hard for people to watch. It's because it's fun. It's been fun to watch you guys over the years together, and I'm sure you feel that same way. But you guys go way back, and I have sympathy for you for sure, and I'm curious if that's something that you have felt, just from social media during the show. Have you felt that from fans?
Yeah, I have. I mean, and I've been trying to stay off Twitter a little bit more. You and I love our little, like,
Oh
Twitter,
yeah.
um I get twitchy thumbs sometimes when I'm watching the show, and I get really frustrated, but I am really appreciative of the viewers and the fans of the show. I don't want anyone to be knocking the girls. It's not what I'm asking for. It doesn't make me feel better, but people just really understanding my point of view on it has made it a lot easier for me to go through it.
Definitely. And I mean, on that same point, it's like there must be, they did point out that you and Carter, had some toxicity in your relationship, and that I feel like that's something you would admit to. Do
Right.
you feel like there's anything that because you're somebody who's always on a journey of self-improvement and you're always looking to improve yourself. That's something that we all love about you, I think. And you're the first one to call out any of your flaws or, do you feel like, because I feel like that means that you have kind of held up your end of the stick. You are looking to improve yourself. You're looking to be that good friend. Do you feel
Yeah.
that as well?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, that was a huge, I think, part of the writing the book process. And something that I try to do every year in Vanderpump Rules. It's like the one of the positives of doing the show is really getting to watch back and seeing the truth. Whether no matter what my opinion of that truth may have been, or Katie or Stassi's, if we're talking about them, or even Carter's opinion of the truth, when you watch it back, the way that exactly the way it happened, and the words that came out of our mouths, and the attitude, or the weight that we were carrying, and the way that we expressed ourselves, like, that's the truth. And so if I when I have done things or said things that weren't constructive, or I can see why that made things worse, I'm gonna be the first one to call myself out for it, but then I'm gonna learn from it. And I don't think that that is something that every cast member on my show does.
We can leave it at that. And then what about you and Carter? Are you guys in contact at all? What's the status there?
A little bit. I mean, we're trying to stay friendly
Good.
and be friends. It wasn't easy for many months, post filming, when I really, because you'll see, I mean, and as you guys will keep watching the end of this season, like, he hasn't been in it a lot, but there were moments at the end of the season, at the end of the summer, that I really considered, like, dating him again. And
Mm.
he was someone that I could really lean on. He was someone that I trusted, someone that I respected, and we had so much space, although it may not appear that way, we really did, that I started kind of falling back into those patterns, and it wasn't until we were done filming and the summer was finally over and I flew back home to Michigan to see my family for quite some time, that I was able to, like, take a step outside the box and really focus on what was healthy for me, regardless of how it made other people feel. So in that moment, I realized, like, as much as I love him, it's just not working, and so that's that. Like, you can't
Mhm.
keep forcing something that it clearly isn't working. So we took a lot of time apart. There were a lot of ups and downs. There was, a lot of anger, and we went through the motions, but now it's been so long, and we've been broken up for over a year and really haven't been even slightly romantic in a really long time. So we're able to, like, co-parent the dogs. The dogs live with me. We work out how he can see them and spend
Aw,
time. I'm aware that he's dating. He knows that I'm dating. I don't like talking about that with him. I just think that there are boundaries that we have to have, but I'm trying to
for
say,
totally.
nothing happened that was so
Cordial and
awful
friendly.
for us to not be friends. Yeah.
For sure, and I think that, what regardless of whatever perception there is of your relationships, you know what's best for you, and that's
Yeah.
just kind of what you can tell yourself. So what are your generally about Vanderpump Rules right now? I think the show's in a very interesting place, and I
Yeah.
think a lot of people would admit that. We have, like, 19 people in that intro.
At least.
Yeah, at least. I think it grows every
We
week,
lost count.
if you ask me. Um there's an obvious new guard and old guard converging right now, and I think every episode just has different vibes, and we're focusing on different people every week. What are your thoughts on the status of Vanderpump Rules these days? Because I think a lot of people are a little bit frustrated with the show right now.
Yeah, and I am too. I feel for a lot of the viewers in that, like, there are moments sometimes that I watch the show and I'm not sure what I'm watching. I don't know what show I'm watching.
Yeah,
I think that it's always great to have, like, fresh blood and to have new people, especially because at the end of the day, this show did start as a show about Lisa Vanderpump and her restaurants. Obviously over
exactly.
time, especially the OG cast, our opinions are, well, like, no, this is a show about our lives. But at the end of the day, that is how it started. And Lisa is the matriarch of this series. Like, this is her show. So I don't think that it is weird to continue to bring people in that work for her.
Mm-mm.
What I do think is weird is to shove like 7 new cast members down our throats when we didn't have the opportunity to really get to know them, especially since most of us don't work there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if we get a season 9, I hope that it'll be different for the viewers and for us, because now we've had so much time to get to know certain people. I love Dana. I think she's great. I think she's integrated herself really well.
Mm-hmm.
She's built really close friendships with people. Max is awesome. I like Brett. I just think other people watched 7 seasons of Vanderpump Rules and they went, who should I be like? How can I be on quote unquote reality TV? And that is not what our show is about. So it's frustrating.
No, and I think that that's in the very essence of Vanderpump Rules, especially early on, was just this very, very, very authentic, messy picture of your lives,
Right.
and that it just feels a little bit too pristine right now, I think, and I think that's what you're getting at.
And I've read comments from viewers like on social media where because they're feeling that way about certain scenes with new cast members, they're starting to wonder what they're watching with the rest of us, if that's also like contrived or manipulated or produced. And it's like that frustrates me because we don't work like that,
That's
clearly.
not the that's not the game that you play at all.
No, I think we'd all make ourselves look a lot better if that's the game we played. We would have learned after 8 years how to do it right, but that's just
Touche. Yeah. So do you, because this is also something that I've seen floating around on social media, is this idea that it could be 2 shows at this point? Like, if, after this season, could it be just like Vanderpump Rules is the people that work at Sir, and then you guys get a different show? Is that something that you would be interested in, or do you think there's a way to just keep it going in its current state, just more meshed together?
I mean, I love doing the show. I've been doing it for so long, I really don't know any better, so I would be probably pretty down for whatever, the network and our production company wanted to throw our way. They know what they're doing and, they've been in it with us since day one. I feel like this was a transition season for sure, and I've never heard that that's something that they're doing. Obviously, we've all talked about this and we've heard, rumblings of this on social, so I don't really know if it would work. Um, I guess it would depend on how much the viewers fell in love with all of the new people, but I
For
think
sure.
issue with that is that we don't really know them. Like, I feel
Hmm.
like the only person I really know well, just as a viewer, is Dana, because she's starting to bleed out. She's talked about her family. You've now met her sister on the show and things like that, where all these other people, I'm like, "I don't even know your last name, and I'm on a show with you."
Exactly.
I just
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think it's really weird, and I hope that it was just a transition and, that when we go into hopefully a new season, that'll be figured out.
Yeah, and I think we've seen with recent shows with Beverly Hills, as a prime example, is that they clearly have been paying attention to the fan feedback, which is have them be more open. Let's break the fourth wall a little bit more. Like those are the kind of things that are happening more, and that gives me hope that these things are being paid attention to. It's not perfect right now, but there is a path down the road for it to get there again.
Right, absolutely. I mean, fans aren't stupid. Like, we're living our real lives, but we are filming a television show. There are call times and certain things that have to go into play when you're actually filming a television show. But yeah, I hope that everyone does listen to the fans, and I'm not saying like out with the new and keep the old, because I think there's always room for change and growth. But just all this stuff that I'm seeing, it just seems fake. And I don't that's not on the network's behalf, that is on the people that are acting that way.
For sure. Yeah, I see what you're saying. We don't know what a reunion could look like, but if and when we do get a reunion from this season of Vanderpump Rules, what's something that you want to bring up? What's something that you really want answers on? I think we touched on it a little bit earlier, but talk to
Yeah.
me in your words about that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Katie and Stassi stuff, I think that'll be hopefully, hit home, and we'll all get some kind of answer, them, me, the viewers, everyone. Um, and beyond that, there's something that happens in a couple of weeks that everyone will see between Jax and I.
Mm.
That doesn't go well. So Jax goes back to being Jax, and I think there was a few little like blurbs in some of the trailers where I say like Jax is back, and Jax and I get into it a little bit, and I am uh, curious to talk to him at the reunion as to why he decided to come for me, essentially.
Was Jax ever gone for real? Do you
I
think?
thought so for a little while. I had high hopes. I think he's right now. He's found this balance between Jason and Jax, which is nice.
Okay,
But those hard Jax moments, I'm like, go for other people, but don't come for me. Like, you're supposed to be actually one of my best friends, and what happened to coming to me, and conversing with me rather than what you'll see happen
for
in a
sure.
couple of weeks. So,
Yeah.
and we made up since then, but we didn't speak for a month.
Okay. Well, then the reunion would be a good time for us to test the
Mhm.
waters again. And you obviously have a huge thing coming up, which is on June 2nd. He's Making You Crazy is coming out.
Yes.
Finally, we're so excited to see what this book has in store. Talk to me about the idea behind it and what people can expect to read.
So really, when Michelle and I sat down to like map out this book, I've been writing for as long as I can even remember. And I had started writing something a couple of years back. And because Michelle and I have been friends for years, and she obviously is a wonderful writer and a great storyteller and has amazing comedic timing. And so I went to her with this idea and just asked if she would want to be my co-author. I never wanted a ghostwriter. I wanted to tell my own stories, but I knew that I needed help from someone who actually knew me, who was my friend, and who would be able to help form what it's like to authentically write a book. So it was the most painless process. It was super rewarding, super therapeutic. We had so much fun doing it. It was like morning, noon, and night every day together. Never got sick of each other. Couldn't love her more. But essentially, started telling Michelle all my dating stories, and obviously, all of America and the world knows, a good 8 years of my crazy dating
You have a
story.
colorful dating history.
Crazy Kristen. And so rather than fighting off this nickname, this pseudonym that people have like come up with, it's like, well, why do they call me crazy? What was my crazy from, age 12 and my first kiss up until, who I am now? And it was really that like once I had got on this self-love journey, being 36 and now I'm 37, it was really that it's okay to be crazy, because crazy means I'm emotional, and it means I'm passionate, and it means that I've been screwed over by a lot of not really great people that have sort of chipped away at my self-esteem over time. And so there are super funny stories, very tongue-in-cheek, very much so making fun of myself as much as I am ripping on the guys that did me wrong.
You have to though. That you can only tell these stories if you can be self-deprecating about them.
Yes, and the whole point is like, I'm saying he's making you crazy, but I'm also owning my crazy now, and I'm wearing this as a badge of honor and saying like, "Yeah, fine, call me crazy, but it's because I've been through all of these things and I've still come out on top." And to all these women that read it, and men, like, you can do it too. And it really is just like a self-love journey of realizing you're getting to this point of crazy Kristen, kamikaze Kristen. How can I bring that back to me and truly be happy and stop
Mhm.
putting up with it
And
essentially?
not lose your identity in that as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I read the intro. I didn't wanna read too much because I'm excited to just read it all as one, but I read the intro and I love in it you say that crazy is a two-person job. And I think
Mhm.
that kind of is a succinct way of just like you're reclaiming this nickname that was put on you, and I love that. I think that you're taking charge and it's just a sign of like kind of where you're going.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm really,
Yeah.
really excited. It's cool. It's awesome. It's not a dating advice book, which I've been getting some slack on social from people like you're writing a self help book. It's not a self help book. It's not a dating advice book. If anything, it's almost like a what not to do, what not to put up with, when to get out. And
Which is again perfect. You're partnered up with the woman who wrote How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. So like that is the perfect partnership right there.
absolutely.
And can people expect any, tea about people that they recognize from your dating past as well?
Absolutely. So we don't put any names in the book because, we want it to stay very universal. I don't want anyone to get stuck on the who because it really is just it's a truth that all women have gone through. Every dating story that I've had. And when it comes to the Vanderpump Rules stuff, although their names are not in it, I think everyone's gonna
Connect the
figure
dots.
out who is who. Yeah. And I will say there's a couple of heavier hitting chapters. There is a chapter called I Lied, where I take full responsibility for the Jax situation and also speak my piece about how I felt about it because I felt up until writing this book, I never really had that opportunity. I never really
Totally.
gave myself the opportunity because I lived in so much guilt, but I thought it was important to not leave it out.
And in some ways, other than social media, this is your first time to really tell your story unfiltered, no editing. I mean, this is your words, this is your full story, and I think that's gonna be exciting for people.
Yes, I hope so. I hope everyone loves it as much as I do.
Yeah, well, I can't wait. We can't wait to see what happens on the rest of the season of Vanderpump Rules. And I hope you continue to stay happy and healthy and safe during this time. Um,
We're all in it together at the end of the day.
for sure. Yeah. Well, Kristen, have a good rest of your day and thank you so much for calling in.
Thanks so much. Bye,
Of
love.
course. Bye. For more stories from In the Know, go to intheknow.com. You can also follow In the Know on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and find me, Gibson Johns, on Instagram and Twitter at Gibsonoma. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.